So I left a message for you in it.
Oh, really?
I did.
Oh boy.
They were like, "Is there anything else you want to say during the interview?" And I was like, "Yeah, Locktar Rogar, but hopefully more Locktar. Alliance sucks. Come at me, Kendrick." And those were the final words of the interview.
Oh my god! If Team Liquid ever decides to have me on one of their articles again, I'm gonna pay you back double.
Go for it. So, our second map, chosen by KT, BTG gave over the map pick. It's going to be Cursed Hollow here.
Yes. Bans, of course, were Dragon Shower and Tomb of the Spider Queen. And Cursed Hollow, you know, a very solid map, a very standard one. It has been around ever since the earliest release in the alpha of Heroes of the Storm. So
even pre-alpha.
Even pre-alpha.
It was around during the leaked alpha of Heroes of the Storm. It was the only map you could actually play on.
Wow.
If you remember that.
There we go.
Were you around for when the alpha was leaked?
I am not entirely sure. I know that I started getting interested in the game when Dungtrain was doing his very, very first alpha stream, which was super early.
No, this was pre that. Like, about 2 months before the game was released, some guy on 4chan, who I shall come out and say was a jerk for doing this in the first place, leaked the alpha. You could basically, and they just released a map tool where you could just select whichever hero in the alpha you wanted to play, and it would put you in a bot match, and that was it. Only bots. But it was basically a way for people to play, and like all the stats were farmed from that before it started. And then Blizzard were like, okay, the people who were getting it, they had to design the Battle.net launcher so that it would detect if you had the leaked alpha, and then delete it for you when it installed the actual alpha.
There we go.
To prevent conflict. I will say that I never did it. I did not come out and do the leaked alpha, but it was amusing seeing it from afar.
I can certainly imagine that. Good times. I mean, if you think back to the alpha stage and the early beta stage, there were still so many features in the game that players right now who had never played those stages, they couldn't even imagine to exist, right? For example, I mean, the fact that Abathur's copy could copy a target and then use the Auric ability as well. Just imagine this in the game right now. It would be unheard of. Double Dragonblade Genji, for example. And ironically, both of those heroes are no longer in the game here for this round, at least. Abathur and Genji are banned.
Very true, but this does mean Dahaka has snuck his way in. He will be the first pickup for Beyond the Game. Very cool start.
So Genji, he has been receiving a lot of nerfs as of late, and as a result has fallen in priority a little bit. Do you still think that he's worth banning? Is he still that powerful?
I think so, especially if you've been watching some of the Korean and European games recently.
Yes.
They are still picking him, and he is still that game decided, despite having a less than 50% win rate. But I would argue that's due to the fact that he's being over-prioritized. I think a first rotation for the double pick, or the second rotation for either team, is a very appropriate place to pick Genji right now, but there's a good chance he will be banned out of either of those, but he's still definitely that game-deciding hero.
Shout out to Class On in Twitch chat, by the way. Don't forget about Falstat's old heroic in the alpha, the aerial blitzkrieg. Good times indeed. And just as we talk about
Shock and Awe.
Oh yeah, Shock and Awe, aerial blitzkrieg, those were the days. And as we talk about our favorite Birdman here, he's actually been summoned to the Nexus to fight here on the side of KT. Doesn't really come with a surprise. I mean, it's a large map, Cursed Hollow that is. The first global hero has been locked in for BTG already, so they kind of want to counter it a little bit. Also, aside from the global aspect, Falstat just offers unique and almost, you know, unrivaled boss control.
I will say just very quickly, in terms of stuff that's removed, which hero would you say is the most punished since Technical Alpha? Because I can tell you who I believe it is.
Since Technical Alpha? Let's see. I think it's Rehgar, still.
Why Rehgar? Just because the removal of self-heal?
Because of the removal of being able to use Ancestral Healing on yourself, yes.
I would argue it's Tyrael. Due to the fact that he had a completely different ability in the first stage, where he was able to tether himself to an ally and take their damage, reducing that damage by 25%, which is already good. You could then upgrade that to be a laser where anyone standing between it would just straight up die. The damage from it was crazily way too high, so that was removed and replaced with the smite that he has now. Smite then back then had Cast Aside, which we remember was broken as hell and was removed. Sanctification used to have a huge area of effect, but locked him down. That was considered too broken, despite the fact no one picked it. They just started picking it right afterwards and were like, we're going to remove this from the game. That was crazily good and had to be changed and nerfed. Everything about Tyrael, including judgment, damage, has had to be nerfed in some way, shape, or form.
That's actually a very solid point. Like, Cast Aside, imagine, guys, for those of you who are new to Heroes of the Storm or just aren't really as, you know, experienced and have not as rich of a history, like, Cast Aside was a talent that could be used on Tyrael's E, and it would knock back people at the side of it. It was so good to the fact that even a German pro team with You Better Know Me, the German HGC caster now in it, named themselves after it. That was just a beautiful talent.
It was also combined a lot with Zombie Wall for some of the most hilarious kills. It was so crazily good. So, either way, let's have a look at some of the picks here. Tassadar once again banned out here. I'm not sure what they thought that was going to be used with. I guess BTG could run it with like a Tracer with their composition. And Malthael also being removed, which gives the chance for us seeing our first Chinese Garrosh.
Exactly. We have yet to see the former war chief of the Horde to make an entrance here. Malthael ban, though, I like that on the side of BTG because, you know, with an Uther, it is always a scary sight. You Divine Shield the Malthael, he goes in with his ulti and basically annihilates the entire backline, or basically anyone. Oh, they actually have a Li Ming here with a new skin, which I'm still not used to seeing because...
No.
Yeah, go ahead.
No special ability animations, though, on this skin, for the different skin colors.
Unfortunately,
That's what I want. That's what I want. Sorry, carry on.
No, I was basically on vacation for 2 weeks, and I could only, you know, check news and Heroes of the Storm every now and then. And as a result, I also couldn't really play a lot. So whenever I see the new ETC skin, you know, the Space Tauren ETC and the Ultralisk Nubarak, I'm still feeling very, very excited. So apologies already if I'm getting super excited about those skins. Speaking of skins, though, did you watch Gamescom? And did you see those new skins?
Yes, I did. I was literally watching your Leoric video before we started today.
Oh my goodness, yes.
So yes, very, very cool. What are we going to see from BTG? They still need range damage, potentially 2, potentially a melee. They go for both. They go for Greymane and Illidan. Remember, Illidan has been slightly nerfed due to an increased cooldown on his hunt.
Yep. Kind of well-deserved, though. I think the hunt was getting a little bit out of control, especially in pro play. He could always be played as a global hero, Illidan, that is, and that just gave him too much presence overall on the battlefield, especially if combined with his trait, which lowers the cooldown with every basic attack. So I think it's a justified, you know, nerf.
As would I, and I also think that it feels more impactful when it happens less. I want that fear of the whole "you are not prepared" or feel the hatred of 10,000 years with that ability. I want the fear of hearing that just quietly in the background, getting louder as it comes towards me. That's what I want. I want that back. So, Sonya's the last pick. 4KT here, once again. Very aggressive composition. 3 out of their 5 heroes are the same. Uther, the Muradin, and the Sonya still the same. They don't have the stuck off AoE healing this time, though.
Yeah, no AoE healing, only Uther to rely on. But their frontline, once again, looks very sturdy, so if they stand strong with the self-sustain that they have on the Sonya, for example, I think Uther alone is going to be more than enough to keep themselves safe and sound. On the other hand, though, we also see BTG with a very heal-demanding lineup, going for the Greymane and the Illidan. Those are 2 very aggressive melee assassins, kind of melee assassins in the case of Greymane, that require a lot of assistance. So is Rhaegar going to be enough to keep them all safe and sound? We're going to find out in a bit.
Yes, we shall, as we once again get the very varied music that appears to be happening. I can't tell, sometimes about a rock concert, sometimes about an indie thing, sometimes about... Well, this music sounds like a snowboarding event. And then right before we start, it always just turns into a rave.
Oh yeah. It brings me back to some really, really good times watching a certain movie with a vampire hunter who now sits in jail because he cheated on taxes. Wesley Snipes actually out of prison?
Say again, sorry?
Is Wesley Snipes actually out of prison? Yeah, or...
I have no idea, dude. No idea at all.
Alright, that is the trophy, by the way. The trophy hasn't changed, despite the fact that all the other production went up even more for HGC China. So, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Game 2 here between BTG and KT. And on the left-hand side, we get to see BTG, the new team coming in from the Chinese Silver League, playing their first HGC season. It is A on the Greymane, 619 on Arthas, Fish on the Illidan, MJ doing his dance moves on the Rhaegar, and ZJZ on the Dehaka.
And on the right, our more experienced team here, it is Kudos top with T-Dye on Li Ming, Neptune on Sonya, Zhen Zhao on the Uther, Seeing on Falstad, and Butcher, once again, on that Muradin. So, we are on the Cursed Hollow here, and talents-wise, all pretty standard. We are seeing the Perfect Storm for Muradin, and we are seeing the Force Armor for Li Ming. Those are the only things that would sometimes be varied, other than maybe Rhaegar's level 1 as well with the Wolf Run.
And Butcher on the Muradin, sticking with that Stormbolt build, with the infused Stormbolt here for the second time in a row. So basically, the more targets, the more enemy heroes he hits with a Stormbolt, the more bonus damage he's going to accumulate, and of course he gets a little bit of mana back as well, which is always nice to have. I mean, it's not really like Muradin was the most mana-hungry hero in the game, but, you know, sometimes during longer team fights you may struggle a little bit, so having this talent in your arsenal can be quite useful.
Do you remember when Perfect Storm and Infused Storm used to be actually separate talents?
Oh, yes.
God, that was terrible.
It was terrible.
It was like, why would I ever pick an Infused Storm? Or I could have some mana on the tank that almost never has mana issues. Seeing takes a lot of damage, forces gets the barrel roll to get out of position. You loses that potential for the shield though. Now Butcher also being forced to jump to freedom.
Yeah, and something we saw here very, very briefly was the change of Uther's passive armor gain. It's only 15 instead of the former 25. So Uther, despite being, you know, nerfed a little bit, still being a top tier support to be picked here in HGC China. And Genshuo, by the way, who is playing said Uther, doing a pretty fair job so far, being a caster turning pro. Definitely kudos to him here, showing himself in a pretty decent form.
Yeah, he is, like you said, he's definitely showing up here today already, putting on quite the show. Once again, though, this is a new team. This is a bit more of a difficult measuring stick. Lots of damage onto Fish. That's a weird sentence as he turns around looking for Butcher. Butcher juking him, though, as the dive happens and is able to move up to top.
Can you believe what would have happened if Fish were to join RPG? Then we would have the Chicken Wang Fish combo. Oh my goodness.
Yes, that would be amazing. Like, once again, I have the... For those who don't know, I have the rule of how good a player's name is on the two conditions. One, how fun it is to chant. And two, how good it is to shout in the event that they were to get, like, a quintuple kill. Like, so we've already had the chanting of the wang, 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 wang at BlizzCon idea. I like the idea of just one of the players on Beyond the Game just... Imagine a crowd just chanting A. Yes, Chinese player names are some of the best when it comes to chants. So
if RPG made it to BlizzCon this year, and there is a chance now that E-Star has disbanded, we would have to educate the crowd to basically do a two-way chant. Like, chicken, wang, chicken, wang. That would be my dream to hear at BlizzCon. So if you happen to go there, mark my words, just in case RPG is there.
Well, you gotta do it in the wrestling style, where it's oh, hang on, Fish taking lots of damage, able to pull back though. If that's assault, no immolation, which is why he has so much help here in the lane, by the way. Also due to the objective being spawned, which is about to be taken by KT. But you got to do it in the wrestling style of let's go chicken, chicken, wang. That's the chant that you need to do it.
You're still you're still into wrestling, aren't you?
Oh yes, absolutely.
So many British people are into wrestling. Kalaris likes it. You do like it. I think Raven, everyone's favorite Hearthstone caster, is in it as well.
Raven likes it. If he does, I need to find out, because there is a bar in Manchester that has like a live wrestling screenings, and we need to have a night out together and watch wrestling if he is into it.
There we go. In the meantime, we see, you know, both teams prioritizing a lot of those mercenary camps, you always, like, the rule of thumb here in Cursed Hollow is that you always want to get a mercenary camp in between each tribute phase so that the enemy team would get pressured in the respective lanes a little bit more. You see both teams going for the knight camp in the middle lane respectively, and they're now going to try to clear the lane as well so they don't have to deal with those once the tribute is up. In terms of tributes overall, we have a 1-0 lead in favor of KT, and I think there might be another team fight to break out in the middle lane. Stormbolt connects here in the middle, another stun follow-up, and Fish goes down.
Fish does go down. Nicely done here. Good stun lock with the Muradin into the Uther stun there. And now they're in a good position. They're also right next to where the tribute spawns, so we're going to see KT attempt to raid it. Another Skullcracker coming in. This might, it seems to just be a preference pick, and I don't mind it. I'm a big fan of Skullcracker with Daniel. Butcher, stun! Oh, just out of range of everything. Both Cocktail and the Root barely missing. Now they're in a bit of danger. Stunning the Hacker. Frag lands though, and there's too many heroes here. Butcher's just going to have to abandon his friend here, as we do see Genshin down.
Genshuo on the Uther, he gave his life for a good cause though. He secured the tribute, he died like the hero Uther is, and he will be back in time for the next one as well. And the next one could be Curse Point already, and as a result, BTG, they're not hesitating. They're going straight for the boss here, and that is a very smart macro choice here, because they want to have that boss ready while still having a numbers advantage, and then they want to utilize this boss pushing for the, or during the third turret. But KT, they smelled the pine. They're trying to contest this. Keep in mind, Li Ming and Uther are nowhere to be found. It's just 3 people. They have the Gus, not ready yet, and they need to be very careful.
Sonya missing, getting on the point by inches, and now she's getting focused down, finished off. And we see KT retreating. They don't get the boss, and they may lose Butcher here as well. Dahaka, race car, gets the drag, and Butcher goes down too. 2 deaths and losing the boss. That's a disaster for KT.
And they didn't have to commit this hard. There was no way for them to actually steal the boss without a Gus. They weren't even level 10. They only had 3 people there. Li Ming was nowhere near. She was in the top lane. Uther was about to respawn and also went for the middle lane. So I don't understand what they basically hoped to achieve there. You know, that was one of those moments where, like, China?
China,
China. Oh yeah, China.
Yeah, like they could have maybe outsustained it with Muradin or Sonya on the point, but the boss dropped its stun right before they were about to go onto it.
Right.
Muradin was dragged away by Dahaka, so he couldn't jump onto the point, and Sonya tried to whirlwind on but missed by about less than an in-game unit there. So she was very unlucky about not being able to get onto the point there, but either way, beyond the game, able to just get everything there.
And we're going to have to agree with Twitch chat here, saying that BTG actually looks promising. They are a brand new team. We have never seen them before. We have no data on, or let's say we have very little data of them because we saw the game 1 now. But no way near are they as, or do they look as inexperienced as Wukong Gaming did last season. So a lot of good, promising looking new fresh blood in HGC China. Really, really a pleasure to behold. They need to contest this though. This could be the curse.
They're trying to move in, but so much CC, they're able to get the curse here as KT moving in, and it looks like BTG are just going to try and take a fight, which I guess will slow down the push. Metamorphosis, Divine Storm hits nothing, but, well, Metamorphosis does not save him.
It's a bloodbath.
Down goes Arthur's Greymane into the backline, though, doing huge damage, having to move
with
the he rolls backwards, drops the cocktail. Muradin is still alive, though. Tagging through this Uther taken down, and we see another kill eventually. He can't leave, and down he goes. 4 for 3, like you said, it's a bloodbath. No minions! Hey, nearly dying, having to pop the fountain there. But that was just pure China.
That was 100% China through and through. BTG did not have to take this fight. Once again, the curse was against them. All the lanes were getting pushed in heavily. Only top lane was defended by 2 Siege Giants. And the fact that they committed so heavily and lost the gamble, they basically lost the team fight. All lanes were getting significantly damaged though. The only good thing out of this is that KT also took some casualties. They couldn't split push or push as 5. But here we see another replay of this fight. Arthur's going in deep. Illidan getting shut down though in the thick of things. Not enough healing left. The Ancestral was used too early. Arthur's falls as well, but the Grey Greymane. The Greymane doing so much work. Jumping to safety here.
Dying roll. The second the whirlwind finished, if whirlwind was still going, he would have died, but he timed it beautifully to survive there and then flee to nearly die to minions. But the fact is, he didn't. He is alive and was able to help his team with the defense. And as such, Beyond the Game are still ahead of XP despite being cursed.
Exactly. You mentioned it. Just one more tick from the Whirlwind of Sonya and Greymane would have been lights out. And even the Murden Dwarf Toss would have been enough to finish him, I believe. But that dash to the safety was just in the nick of time. And KT now, they're trying to stop this onslaught coming in from Beyond the Game here in top lane. Grouping up as 5, running around as 5. They're trying to get another team fight in. And I gotta say, I do like the choice of Divine Storm here by Genshua on the Uther. Divine Storm provides you with so much additional shutdown against an Illidan that if the Metamorphosis doesn't arrive in time, Illidan is going to fall like a fly.
Even after the Metamorphosis arrives, if you Metamorphosis on top of the Uther, he just hits that R, and if he times it right, boom, down goes your Illidan.
Exactly. So, also interesting to note that despite the fact there is a Sonya, and a Murden, we don't see Cursed Bullet coming out of Greymane. He focuses on go for the throat. Once again, a huge dash to safety, though. Rhaegar gave his life like a good support always should. Still a close Arcane Orb, but yeah. The fact that Greymane went for go for the throat puts so much more additional pressure onto Uther and the squishy backline, and the fact that they don't have Divine Shield makes this even more threatening.
Absolutely, they're in a lot of danger here. We're seeing Greymane has fully stacked up his cocktail builds here, which he has gone all the way in on. Full cocktails overall, and then just increased dash rate, increased engage and disengage range here.
Yeah, this is a very nice pressure play coming in from KT now. They unlock the boss. They're not really in range of getting themselves another curse just yet, but still, they force BTG's attention somewhere else if they don't want to lose this top fort, which could very well happen right now. Only Dahaka to defend. He can, of course, use his global Brush Stalker to help his team in need here. Is BTG going to commit though? Illidan going in. Where's Dahaka? They can't take a 5-4 versus 5.
Yeah, it looks like Dahaka is coming down. He might be a bit late though. Metamorphosis feeling out a big chunk of health. Gust to disengage while they turn it round here. Muradin tanking through, gets dragged back in though. Nice hand of protection there from Uther, keeping him alive. As Illidan has been kind of ignored to backline. This is always dangerous. They're finally starting to turn their attention, but it's too late. Fastest down. Divine Storm completely misses here. And Fish has won that fight for them super hard. Butcher fully in retreat. That's going to be the second tribute for BTG.
Massive shout out to ZJZ on the Dahaka here as well. Arriving in the nick of time and actually dodging the mighty gust. I'm not sure if that was intentional, but the fact that he burrowed in a little bit too late to the party actually made sure that he did not get knocked back against the wall by the mighty gust, allowing him to basically use his full mobility after the Brush Stalker. So really, really nice team fighting coming in from BTG, and Illidan, of course, used the right moment when everyone was occupied focusing Dahaka and Arthas, and he was basically left alone for the most part. So very, very nicely done. You know, the boss got the forward, but overall still a better outcome for BTG. They take the momentum, they take the tribute, and they're now getting close to reach the first curse for themselves.
Yeah, they are. They're creeping towards it, getting themselves closer and closer. Blades of Asenath coming in for Illidan here, giving himself that even more damage, which was a big reason as to why he was putting so much... And self-heal, which is a big reason why he was able to put so much pressure onto the backline in that last fight. Not enough focus onto him means he just ran rampant. We're seeing him. Look at Falstad's health drop.
He's not letting go.
He has to... Oh, yeah, he's still going. Still wants it. Fish finally going to leave him alone.
Yeah, finally. That Illidan is a sticky one for sure. Murden going in on the others. I'm not sure if that's the target you want to go all in on. Big risky seeing play on the false side, and the backlane is now exposed.
Divine Storm! Illidan is going to get the Metamorphosis. He's getting stun locked though. Can they finish him off? Falstad's not in position to be doing any damage. What's he doing? He's having to take such a long way round. We're seeing Yenshu taking so much damage. Falstad finally shows him, immediately gets fished, as we are seeing Fish tracing onto T-Die now. Here comes A as well. T-Die, no escape. You weren't prepared. Neptune, the only survivor here. He will actually just survive the entire fight. Oh, the spear, very nearly hitting Fish as well.
Yeah, and dropping that standard BM default spray here by Fish. Could have looked a little bit
See this? See this? It's going to be our logo soon.
Oh my god, that was a beautiful fight for BTG though, and you could see the class of this team, the experience and game sense of this team in one move in particular. Did you see how they purposely ignored Uther so he wouldn't get the value of his trait? That was so well done. Instead, they focused on the Li Ming. They focused on the false start. Look at that. He flies in, gets the gust, not too bad. A beautiful Divine Storm as well, but this is where it all went south. They couldn't get Illidan. They couldn't kill him, although using so many resources. A nice ancestral. And now, Genshu on the Uther, dropping so low. They do not kill him. They don't want the additional healing. Instead, they go for false at first. Now they kill him, and now they're going to end the team fight. Beautifully coordination by BTG.
Yeah, Falstad just not showing up in that fight until it was too late. It was already low from that Gust play due to not grabbing all of the heroes or taking too much poke damage. And then, of course, getting heavily punished the second he tried to show himself. So no damage, getting punished, cool engage. If they had blown up Illidan, that would have been incredible. But they weren't able to. They didn't grab Rhaegar in that Divine Storm, so as such, he cleansed Illidan.
Yes.
And Illidan was able to get the Metamorphosis.
Yeah, that's a really good observation, too. If you catch the support, that would be even better because the cleanse is crucial to Illidan's combat performance. And as you said, Falstad, he went full risk mode, he got off the Gust, but as a result, he was exposed himself, so he couldn't participate in the fight. So he basically traded off his ulti and shut himself out of the fight for a long period of time, and that is normally not worth it. If you go for those fancy maneuvers, you need to make sure that you can still participate in the fight, and as such, the main source of damage next to Li Ming was basically disabled for KT, and Illidan just could go to town.
Completely agree. I'm currently dreaming of a future where BTG get to play someone like Tricked Esports, so we could have hashtag Get Tricked versus hashtag Get Fished, just going up against each other. I can dream. The future will be there eventually. But now, though, Falstad is trying to scout out the bush, but 619 able to dodge the scouting. Unfortunately, he's still found. Yeah, beautiful cleanse. Falstad arriving to try and drop the damage, but they can't keep up.
That's the beauty of Arthas as well. He's extremely hard to take down with that Iceborne Fortitude. Now, the disengaging gust also isolating Illidan too far away. No ancestor healing here.
They didn't even need Divine Storm. They finally turn it around to try and knock down Greymane instead. Not able to get him, though, because Arthas is causing too much chaos in the backline. Falstad having to roll, get rooted. Falstad getting body blocked by Muradin here. By Uther, sorry. Muradin now moving in to try and knock him down. Ancestral will keep
4 versus 5, though.
Immediately, Greymane into the backline again, picking up the kill, but with Rhaegar zoned out, he couldn't get to the range for the heal. And now it is a 3 versus 3. Both teams in retreat. Arthas trying to hold the line here. They're trying to hold through. Li Ming is at about the boss has been aggroed. He gets taken out. Boss done. Everyone moves out of range. We're seeing MJ getting pressured. No one to save him. He heals Arthas as a last act of sacrifice.
Can you believe it, Tetcher? BTG took that fight 4 versus 5. They did not have their main carry Illidan at their side. He died so early on, but somehow, some way, Arthas and the rest of his boys made sure to destroy KT, Li Ming out of mana. Beautiful damage. The Greymane pop-up so strong with that go for a throat. I am very, very much impressed by BTG despite them losing the team fight.
As am I. What a fantastic team that we have for us, Kendrick, in the scene now. Stun 1 on Illidan, stun 2 on Illidan, and damage 3 on Illidan. You can see MJ was trying to move in with wolf speed. Storm Shield to try and turn it around last moment. Now watch Greymane. You can see Falstad just getting continuously pressured. Greymane trying to stay out of range of Muradin as best as possible. And the second Falstad, we didn't get to see it, but the second Falstad into range. Oh my god, this is happening. Here's Falstad, the gust! They're trying to make the play, but Tahaka was able to burrow onto the point. Here comes the Metamorphosis, and the fight is still happening on the point. Falstad gets taken down. Down goes Tahaka. It's a 1-for-1.
Who's gonna make it?
Greymane moving back. Cocktail. Here's Li Ming. Steals the boss! KT taking it, Muradin jumping onto Illidan, but he gets Ancestral! Illidan's probably going to clear up everything! They get the boss, but lose the fight. Greymane even lives!
Uther, he comes back!
Oh god, Uther's back! Arthur's trying to turn it round. Fish is still going! He's relentless, gets 1! Can he survive against Sonya and Uther? The likelihood is not, but he's not giving up. He's not done. Now he's giving up, and he's totally done. Arthur's root lands. They cleanse it though. Fish also gets cleansed. They're trying to turn around and take out Uther first, even though the trait value will be there. But trait value still has a duration.
Neptune!
Taken out, Neptune, and we see Neptune at Gensho here tanking through everything to take that fight.
Neptune and Gensho, the Sonya Uther dream is still alive. They're still going strong. They are not backing down. They're not afraid. They take on the whole world, it seems. And Illidan, that is why he's getting countered by the Sonya so much. All of her damage comes, well, not all of her damage, but most of her damage comes from abilities. Now, finally, Uther had to bite the dust. But what a spectacular boss deal before that. The level 20 upgrade for the Force Wave. It was enough to drop everyone out of the platform zone. And they took the boss, the bottom keep almost destroyed as a result. This game is a pure carnage, Tetcher.
This is how we start HGC China. I can't wait to see how we go on. Minion wave pushing up. Is Dahaka going to be able to get back in time to potentially soak that? He needs to be now. If so, it looks like they're just going to ignore it.
This is a massive
that XP. They're instead going to move in, try and take the Bruiser, which is already gone. They've just burned so much XP. They could have Illidan is going to be the one moving back, but he doesn't have to hunt. He's also going to ignore the minion wave, so I guess they're just going to lose all that XP. Falstad coming down to try and guarantee the keep here. Dahaka's finally here. He's missed out on quite a big chunk of the XP, but he will get most of it actually as another minion wave arrives. Very nicely done. I guess
the hunt is not available, but Illidan is still sticky. Seeing now, he does not have the flight available. He did not get the Illidan with his gust, but looks like he's
Dahaka.
Oh no! Oh no!
Race car! Can he catch it? He's catching up! Trying to reach him in time. But Falstad will escape here. But now, because they know that Falstad is down bot lane, they're going to try and take the boss.
They're going to try to take the boss. This time it's KT's boss. They're trying to get it. They do have the force wall. They do have the repulsion. Excuse me. Can they hold this? The Arthas army of the undead is here. Double kill though, quick for BTG. And this is their fight to win.
The spreading silence from Dahaka dominates that fight, and with Falstad not there, BTG take the fight, take the boss. They can't get KT Butcher, and Falstad is like, okay, I have to do something here.
Go for the keep, go for the keep.
Take that bot keep and potentially pressure core, which could be enough to try and force the keepies, but if not, it's going to be a base race. Murin is moving across. It's a full base race.
They can't defend this, right? The boss is on his way as well, so all they need to do is maybe go for the core. I don't think it's going to be enough, but they can only make a losing choice here. BTG is about to take their first game in the first series of HGC China in 2017 in the fall season. Big achievement, big success already for the brand new team coming from the Chinese Silver League. Beautiful performance, and they don't look happy. I think they actually wanted to take this series 2-0.
Seems like they may have here, but either way, what a fantastic series from both these teams. So even. Final score 1-1. Both these teams starting off with 1 point. It's not the opening that either of these teams wanted, but as an audience and as casters, that was fantastic.
Yeah, there was an absolute bloodbath. That was very, very entertaining and enjoyable Heroes of the Storm to watch. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why you should tell all your friends about it. HGC China, every Monday to Wednesday, 11 o'clock CEST. That's where all the action is about to start. And Tetcher and I, we've been doing this for a long time now. It's our 3rd season, but yet, this was one of the bloodiest matches, even for Chinese standards.
Bloody was definitely the term. Very nicely done.